In this video, I will be discussing Hurricane Katrina, a devastating hurricane that caused extensive damage and loss of life in Mississippi and Louisiana in August of 2005. Hurricane Katrina started out as a tropical depression over the Bahamas, intensifying into a tropical storm and then a hurricane by the time it reached Florida. Tropical depressions form when water vapor from the ocean releases heat into the air, which rises and is then pulled into clouds. This process continues until the cloud column gets larger and larger. Eventually, wind begins to circulate around the center. It becomes a tropical depression when the air at the top of the cloud warms up, dropping pressure at the surface, which then moves toward a lower pressure area and makes the storm more intense. When the winds reach 39 miles per hour, the storm is considered a tropical storm, and when they reach 74 miles per hour, it becomes a hurricane. Hurricane Katrina's path over unseasonably warm waters in the Gulf of Mexico helped it rapidly intensify to a Category 5 hurricane, where it caused devastating damage to Louisiana and Mississippi, two states where hurricanes are common. The cause of this weather event had a lot to do with the hydrosphere. Warm water from the ocean is what fuels a tropical depression and allows it to grow into a hurricane. Without the hydrosphere, hurricanes wouldn't be able to form. Hurricane Katrina was one of the most devastating hurricanes in U.S. history. It caused approximately $161 billion in damages and damaged and outright destroyed over 850,000 homes, over 300,000 vehicles, and 2,400 ships. It also led to the failure of 50 levees and floodwalls, mostly in New Orleans. Over 1 million people were displaced due to the storm, and 1,836 lost their lives. There are several reasons why Hurricane Katrina was especially devastating to New Orleans. One reason is the geography of New Orleans leads it to be particularly susceptible to hurricanes. The low elevation and the lack of surrounding wetlands and barrier islands make storms even worse than in other cities. The levees and dams in New Orleans were often not built to withstand storm surge or needed repairs that should have been done before the storm. Widespread poverty and lack of resources also contributed to the loss of life and damages in the city, as many people were unable to afford to evacuate or to properly secure their property and homes. State governments responded to the event by ordering evacuations, and in some areas, setting up stations such as the New Orleans Superdome to care for those who were unable to leave or needed further assistance. The United States Coast Guard brought in personnel to help with evacuation efforts and assist the many who were stranded amongst the flooding in New Orleans, as well as to distribute food and water to those without it. Katrina started a discussion on how local and federal governments could more effectively prepare for natural disasters moving forward, as there were criticisms on how both state and federal government handled the emergency. It also raised questions about the effects of poverty and environmental modifications and how those factors contributed to the devastation of Katrina.